Hi, my name is Kelly. Welcome to week 31 of our I Choose to Love My Life journey. Lori, Burl, and I are doing this one again. And this is actually one of our favorite weeks in the entire journey because it's about giving. And it's something we both love to do, and so excited that we get to do this session together. And we really believe that our resources, so not just our money, but also our time, they're gifts from God. And so we're to be good stewards of those resources. And so one of the things that we do as a team at iBloom is we do tithe 10% of our time and our resources, our money, into our I Hope fund, and then doing other projects with our time. And so we try to live that out in our own lives. And I know, Lori, when your girls were growing up, that was something you really wanted to incorporate into your family. So tell us about a time that you all tangibly did that.
Well, first of all, that was modeled to me by my father. And I realized as I got older, his generosity and his giving was just something I grew up watching. And I wanted to pass that legacy down to my two daughters. So we found out a need. It was actually a minister that we had, and a need came up in his family. So that night at the dinner table, we told our two daughters about the need, and we said we want to help them in this certain way, and this is what it's going to cost. And their dad said, now what are we going to need to do to make that happen? And he had a piece of paper, and one of my daughters said, they got very serious. They really thought about this, and she said, you know, on Thursdays when I get French fries, I get the cheese sauce, and it's 25 cents. So he goes, okay, good. You cannot, get the cheese sauce anymore. And so he said 25 times 4 a month would be $1. And he wrote that down. And she just called me before I came over here to do this call. And she said that has still stuck with her. In fact, she's now working on her master's and getting her MBA in grad school. And she just shared that story with her team, that she remembers that her dad and I didn't laugh. We didn't say, oh my gosh, $1 doesn't do anything. We wanted to encourage our girls to see we make choices. We make sacrifices so that we can bless and give to others. Now, they didn't know that obviously that dollar didn't take care of the need, but we wanted to instill that and model that and bring them in as part of our plan.
No, and that's so good, because that really speaks to more than just meeting the need. That's a quality that you all instilled in your girls. If she's telling her colleagues about it, that's pretty big, that she was able to take and grasp that. And I think that shows, me as a parent, something I really want to instill in my daughter and future kids down the road. That is so important. It's not necessarily about meeting the need sometimes.
Right.
And so I know one thing that my husband and I have done is, just like our savings fund, we also have set up a giving fund where we put a certain percentage of our income into that giving fund. And then we watch for opportunities where we get to bless people in need. And I cannot begin to describe the blessing that is to us. It's just amazing how God sends people when we are watching for them. And so we often pray together, God, show us who has a need, make us our eyes able to see them. And it's amazing when you do that, God makes it perfectly clear who we're supposed to serve. And I wasn't planning on sharing this story, but just feel like I need to. With that giving fund, in December was our anniversary, and we had actually accumulated quite a bit of money in that account, which rarely happens because we just love to give, and so usually it's a zero very often. But there was quite a bit of money in there, and so we decided, we were praying about what to do, and normally we adopt a family to do Christmas with, and just nothing seemed to be panning out. And so as I was praying about it, I felt like God was saying, go to the local store and watch for someone in need. And so I told my husband this, and he looked at me like I had 3 heads, and he was like, what? No, there are lots of people we know that have needs. Right. And I said, just pray about it, and I'll do whatever you want, just pray about it. So we prayed about it, and long story short, we did it. And so he kept saying, how are we going to know? How are we going to know? And I was like, we're going to pray before we go in. God's going to make it clear. And so we prayed, and we walk into the store, and it's not clear at all. And I'm like, oh goodness, like God, where are you? Like, why are you not showing us? And so we're walking around and we helped one person and another person, and then God made it so clear. He did make it clear. She just wasn't in the checkout line until that moment. And so she was checking out, and we both knew. I mean, it was like a neon light was over her. I mean, he instantly looked at me and said, she's the one. And so only God could know what was going to happen. And so we wait till she checks out. We stand behind her and act like we're buying a candy bar. And so she's loading the groceries and Christmas stuff in her cart. And we tell the cashier, we're going to take care of it. And we had seen her before, like, deciding which purchases. And so she found out how much they were. And so we told the lady, you know, add on those things, and we just want to bless her. Well, all this time she had no idea what was going on because she's loading her stuff in the cart. And so then the cashier tells her it's taken care of. And she's like, what? You know, what's going on? And so she kind of has her back to us. And when she turns around, she's sobbing. And I was like, you know, kind of took me back for a moment. And she said, you have no idea what this has done, because I'm here buying groceries and Christmas gifts for my sister who's disabled. And this is to provide Christmas for her family. And so, you know, my challenge to you is that, you know, one, be available and ask God to show you. And so much of that is creating margin in our schedule so we're available, but it's also creating margin in our budget. And so one of the things that my husband and I decided to do this year is to give up cable. It was something that we didn't need. It was something we weren't really watching. And so looking for opportunities where we can continue to give. And I told you last week about our couponing. Every amount of money I save goes into that giving fund, and that motivates me to look for sales and to save even more. So we know this can be done, and we try to live this out in our own lives. Lori is by far the most generous person I've ever met.
Well, and I was just going to say, sometimes when you give, it's not the item you give. Just the other night, I met with a young new friend, and I just had a couple of things for her, and she just started crying at the dinner table, and she said, no one has ever done this for me before. And it wasn't the items. It was the fact that somebody knew some things that she would like. You know, I was watching her, listening to her, got a couple of things that would be important, and really it was just giving her love. It was just showing her that I loved her and wanted her to have these things. And she was overcome. And she just said lately she's meeting people who are pouring into her. And that just wasn't how she was raised, and just didn't have a lot of people doing that. So it's not always actually what you give. It's that you give.
Oh, so true. And, you know, you said you listened to her and you gave her what she was wanting. And so, or not even what she was wanting, but something that she would enjoy. And that is a huge point. It's just listening to people and being in relationships with people and asking God to show you how you can bless someone. And that could be as simple as paying for somebody's Starbucks behind you or their Chick-fil-A. You know, lots of different ways that we can live that out. And so I would challenge you, you know, I know for my own life, it's not about the giving or doing something for someone else. I love it. Like, I just love the feeling that comes, and it's God's money anyway. He is just giving up to us to be a steward. And so I would challenge you, look at your finances, look at areas that you are able to give, because remember, all that you have is God's anyway. So I hope you will leave a comment below. We really struggled about what stories to share because we're often pretty private about these things. And so I would just love to know, how has God used you to bless someone else? And so I just want to challenge you, because remember, this is not about us getting the glory. It's God's money anyway. And so we're just giving the glory back to Him. So leave a comment below sharing just one of your favorite giving opportunities, or maybe a time somebody blessed you. And so share that and give them a shout out. All right, thank you so much. Hope you have a great week. Bye-bye.